Here's some politics.
It's Latin for many. Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Home to the biggest alligators you've ever seen. A state that stands out for a number of reasons.
The Florida Man News.
Florida Man News. We're going to go to Vice, of course, one of our favorite intel outlets, Vice.
Yeah.
And the headline here is Ron DeSantis has a new White House strategy. Arrest people for voting fraud.
Ooh, arrest people for breaking the law.
His
new big strategy.
Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis made a big show of announcing the arrests of 20 people accused of illegally voting in the 2020 election Thursday evening, and revealed what his new political scapegoat will be as he looks for a big re-election win in November and ramps up for...
Gotta love the Vice rhetoric here.
Yeah, of course. These are the first arrests made by DeSantis' new Florida Office of Election Crimes and Security, created after the 2020 election. Of course, that's the timing of it is also impeccable to create that office and then start arresting people a couple months before the election midterm.
Right.
Florida allows former felons to vote, but the law is confusing, and those convicted of murder or a felony sexual offense don't qualify. DeSantis said all the arrested individuals fell into that category. They now face felony charges and could serve up to 5 years in prison. Now, Vice, why would that be a bad thing?
Yeah.
I mean, they just kind of tell you right there, like, hey, these are bad people. So the splashy press conference, not to mention the creation of the office in the first place, was classic DeSantis. He excels at punching down, finding convenient political targets. Punching down at sexual offenders and convicted murderers? Okay, I guess defend those people.
Felons in for sexual offenses who are legally unable to vote. Punching down,
finding convenient political targets.
At sex criminals.
And, quote, triggering the libs in a way that will keep the fight in the news and the political donations coming. Vice contributing to that. A prime example was his Don't Say Gay law, which targeted trans kids, yada, yada, yada. We know about that. Now DeSantis is scoring easy political points with the GOP base that's paranoid about voter fraud as he looks to further build his national brand. And what could be an easier political target for DeSantis than murderers and those convicted of sexual assault. Okay.
What did it say?
Vice is asking the question. Okay, so let me read that little paragraph again. Now, DeSantis is scoring easy political points with the GOP base that's paranoid about voter fraud as he looks to further build his national brand. And what could be an easier political target for DeSantis than murderers and those convicted of sexual assault?
That is... They're framing.
They're saying he's going after the low hanging fruit.
It's the punching down again. Yeah, it's like,
which is funny because they're punching down at him.
Can you believe that he's actually enforcing the law? I mean, come on, man. What's wrong with you? What are you trying to show off or something by enforcing the law on sex criminals?
Yeah, so this is where's Vice going to go with this? DeSantis' venue to announce the arrest was also a calculated choice, Democratic and heavily diverse Broward County in South Florida. Oh, it's a Democrat place. It's diverse. See, that's why and he made it clear more arrests will come. Quote, "This is just the opening salvo," DeSantis said. I'm sure that really triggered the author here of Vice. DeSantis and Republicans have repeatedly sought to undermine the will of the people since Floridians overwhelmingly backed a referendum to reinstate the right of former felons in 2018. The state legislature also undercut the referendum by banning former felons who still owed fees to the state from voting. Okay, voting rights advocates worry these efforts could scare off former felons who are allowed to vote legitimately.
Scare off former felons from
Vice admitting that people who are convicted of felonies are not smart enough to know the difference between if you're...
What they're saying is this. He shouldn't be enforcing the law on felons because then other felons might fear that he will enforce the law. Ooh, Vice. Incredible analysis.
Yeah. Even though DeSantis has called Florida's election the gold standard in 2020, he and Republicans in the state moved to make it harder to vote in future elections. Yada, yada, yada. That's the rest of the, anti-Republican type of talk here, which is a classic Vice.
No, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, and what it is straw manning.
Mm-hmm.
He is the number one sort of straw manned politician, I think, recently.
Yeah.
When it comes to Trump, like, he's guilty of a lot of things. Okay. There's a lot of things. You don't really need to straw man on Trump very hard to make him sound bad. But straw manning DeSantis is the only way you can make it sound like enforcing the law on sex offenders is somehow a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, the tides are turning because, DeSantis rising. And it's legit when Washington Examiner reports Alex Jones ditches Donald Trump for way better Ron DeSantis. Way better Ron DeSantis.
Are those quotes or are those?
Way better is in quotes.
Okay.
Yeah. Alex Jones is jumping off the Trump train and hopping aboard the Ron DeSantis bandwagon. The InfoWars host explained he pig-headedly backed former President Donald Trump due to fears of a Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden presidency, but is now marveled at how Florida's Republican governor has become, quote, unbelievably good during.
Is pig-headedly a quote?
Yes.
Okay.
all of the provocative words are quoted. Yeah.
Well, I have to ask because it is Vice.
Well, no, we're on the Washington Examiner now, but Washington Examiner is
okay.
I did look it up, and
it's the conservative.
It is, but I believe.
Who's the funding?
Right,
from?
I was looking at that, and I did. Let's see, Media DC, subsidiary of Clarity Media, which is owned by Philip Anschutz, who owns AEG. So
AEG, the
Anschutz Entertainment Group. AEG is an American worldwide sporting and music and entertainment presenter and subsidiary of the Anschutz Corporation. It's the world's largest owner of sports teams and sports. Maybe that's why you don't know, because you're not a ball guy.
Not a sports guy. Yeah. Okay.
Under the AEG,
I thought AEG was an insurance company, but I think that's AIG.
Yeah. Under the AEG Presents brand, it is the world's second largest presenter of live music and entertainment events after Live Nation. It's a conservative website. It kind of goes on here. Let's see. Two publications. Anschutz Company's privately held and longtime aide Jim Monaghan declined to comment on whether the newspapers are profitable and if there is a business plan in place for that to happen. Founded in 1995. It actually merged. Let me just read this. Founded in 1995, the Standard, which he absorbed into the Examiner, provided its first owner, Rupert Murdoch, with a Washington platform that bashed the White House during the Clinton years and enjoyed a privileged position during the presidency of George W. Bush. So there's a little history.
So that's a little bit of what I was going to kind of postulate, but that supports my thesis, which is it sounds like the owners of Washington Examiner are more interested in sort of the entertainment aspect of news.
Yep.
Kind of mirroring the Fox model. And I was like, okay, I'm just kind of pulling that out of nowhere, though. But you just said that it was a Murdoch property.
It used to be, yeah. So
it used to be.
Yeah,
so it's a spiritual cousin to Fox, right, in that way.
22 million monthly viewers, so that's pretty good. They're the ones coming out here and talking about Alex Jones.
Got it.
Loves DeSantis. Quote, DeSantis, back to the article from Washington Examiner. Quote, DeSantis has just gone from being awesome to being unbelievably good. And I don't just watch a man's actions. As Christ said, judge a tree by its fruits. I can also look in his eyes on HD video. And I see the real sincerity, Jones said in a broadcast Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Leaning in. Quote, this is what Trump should be like. Oh, boy. And I've been hammering this point, and he's doing it now. And we have someone that's better than Trump. Way better than Trump.
Oh, what is going on? Did Trump anger Jones? Did he not support him during his? Maybe he was hoping that Trump would come like defend him during his
little $50 million fine.
Yeah, when he got sued.
Yeah, probably. During his remarks, Jones noted that he differed with Trump on Operation Warp Speed. Okay, yeah. So yeah, there's some things, I guess, but.
Okay.
You just, I'm keeping track of DeSantis as, I don't know, man. It just seems like he's being set up to be the guy. If they're not going to get Trump in there, it seems like.
Oh yeah, of course. No, he's the second in line. He's the heir to the throne.
Right.
It's just, the real question is, will DeSantis have to slay Trump to be able to take the throne?
Like literally or politically?
Either way, Trump needs to get out of the way in one way or another, because DeSantis, he can't make it the whole way with Trump not slain. Metaphorically, at least. Sure. Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how, well, not this, obviously, the midterms, but also just the 2024 leading into it. How this partnership with Alex Jones will make or break DeSantis's rise, because on one hand, it's Alex Jones's blessing for a lot of Americans is
it's not nothing.
It's an important thing. So that's kind of how Trump got his whole thing going.
Certainly helps
was having Alex Jones supporting his message. So we'll see how it plays out. But I just think it's important to keep an eye on what characters or individuals, legal term, right? That Alex Jones himself said in one of the court things.
He's an entertainer.
Well, maybe that's
he plays
what it was.
A character.
Yeah. Important what kind of people they support. So we'll keep track of all this stuff here.
Yeah.
Anything else on that you want to say?
No, I think you nailed it.
All right.